I'd like to welcome on the stage Belle Gibson.
Have you ever watched a show that sent chills down your spine not just because of its supernatural horrors, but because of the terrifyingly real evil hiding in plain sight? Evil is one of those shows. While it's filled with demons, ghastly creatures, and eerie paranormal cases, sometimes the scariest part isn't the monsters, it's the humans who embrace true darkness. And no one embodied that more than Nurse Plague Linda Block.
It must have affected her that my book was reviewed as better than her.
What if I told you that this horrifying villain didn't just appear once, but twice? And each time, she left behind a trail of terror so real, so disturbing that it lingers long after the episode ends. You might remember the name Leland Townsend, the infamous manipulator and agent of chaos. But Nurse Block?
I'm sorry, who's her?
She's something else. She doesn't just work with evil, she is evil. Her story begins in Season 1's spine-chilling episode, Room 320. Hospitals are supposed to be places of healing, but what if the very person meant to care for you was secretly plotting your demise?
Miller.
That's exactly the horror David Acosta faces when he finds himself at the mercy of Nurse Block. Wounded, vulnerable, and trapped in a hospital bed, it becomes prey to one of the most disturbing villains evil has ever introduced. Nurse Block isn't a supernatural monster. She doesn't have horns or glowing eyes. She doesn't crawl out of the shadows. No, she walks in with a kind smile, a soothing voice, and a lethal syringe.
She was diagnosed with cancer.
So she's consistent.
She's an angel of death, a twisted real-world phenomenon where medical professionals take it upon themselves to decide who lives and who dies. And in this case, Block specifically targets Black patients. Picture this. You're lying in a hospital bed, helpless, groggy from medications, and the only person who can help you is also the one ensuring you never leave. That's what makes Nurse Block so terrifying. She doesn't need demonic power, she has control, access, and the perfect cover.
Maintained. I have no reason to doubt her.
With each calculated move, she tightens her grip on David's life, drugging him, tormenting him, and making sure no one believes him. The tension builds as David desperately tries to escape her grasp.
Because in her case, it's true.
Every time hope flickers, she snuffs it out with another dose. Even Kristen Bouchard, one of the strongest characters in the show, struggles to break through Block's cold, professional facade. She's untouchable, unstoppable. And when she's finally exposed, she doesn't break. She doesn't panic. She simply vanishes, leaving a lingering fear that she'll strike again. Years later, just when fans started to wonder if Nurse Block had disappeared forever, she returned in Season 4's How to Slaughter a Pig. And this time, her evil had only deepened. No longer just an independent predator, Block is revealed to be working with Leland Townsend himself. Her cruelty isn't random, it's strategic. It's part of something bigger.
Doctor said, you have brain cancer.
Here's a blog you might like. She's just like you.
Now, she's tending to Leslie Ackhurst, the surrogate mother of Timothy Kristen and Leland's son, and possibly the Antichrist. And in a moment so chilling it makes your skin crawl, Nurse Block hints at her desire to feed Leslie to her own unborn child. Imagine being trapped in a room with someone who sees you as nothing more than a disposable vessel. Leslie's fear is palpable, and we, as the audience, feel it with her. Block's return cements her as one of the most disturbing villains in evil's history. Her connection to Leland only deepens the horror. This isn't just a rogue nurse with a twisted agenda. She's part of something bigger, something darker. And what's truly terrifying? She's still human. There's no demonic possession, no supernatural excuse. She chooses to do these things. She enjoys it. But what makes her truly terrifying is that she's not just a character in a show. There have been real-life cases of medical professionals who took it upon themselves to decide who should live and who should die.
You do look incredibly well.
I've never felt better.
People who, like Nurse Block, saw human lives as mere playthings, their fates resting in the hands of someone meant to protect them. Consider the case of Charles Cullen, the notorious angel of death nurse who worked in multiple hospitals over a 16-year period, killing patients with lethal doses of medication. Or the case of Beverly Alit, a British nurse who preyed on young children, administering fatal doses of insulin and air injections. These individuals operated under the guise of caregivers, much like Nurse Block, and their ability to go undetected for so long is a terrifying reality. Imagine going to a hospital for treatment, trusting that you're in safe hands, only to find yourself at the mercy of someone like Nurse Block. It's the stuff of real nightmares. Evil taps into that fear brilliantly, showing us that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't the ones lurking in the shadows.
I have to find the right way. For me. We just got each other.
They're the ones smiling at us in plain sight. And let's talk about the psychology behind this type of villain. Why are characters like Nurse Block so terrifying? It's because they prey on trust. A hospital is supposed to be a safe place. A nurse is supposed to help you heal. When someone in that position of power abuses it, the betrayal is profound.
Loved the session. Full body goosebumps. Thanks for coming.
It shakes our core beliefs about safety, authority, and care. It makes us question, how many people like Nurse Block exist in the real world, unnoticed? Studies in criminal psychology have shown that medical professionals who become killers often justify their actions with twisted logic, claiming they're relieving suffering, or playing God. But the truth is, their motivations are often far darker. Some seek the thrill of control. Others enjoy watching the life drain from their victims. Nurse Block exemplifies this perfectly. She isn't just doing a job, she relishes the suffering.
Belle Gibson? The brain cancer.
Right.
What's next for Nurse Block? With evil continuing to push boundaries, one question remains. Will Nurse Block return again? Her fate was left ambiguous, and knowing the show's penchant for reviving its most terrifying characters, we may not have seen the last of her. If she does return, will she escalate her methods? Will she gain even more power? And most chillingly, who will her next victim be? Evil has given us many terrifying moments, but none quite like Nurse Plague. Her chilling presence, her disturbing motivations, and her ability to slip through the cracks make her the scariest villain to appear more than once. What do you think?
Build something meaningful that lasts!
But now, I want to hear from you. What was your scariest moment watching Evil? Was it a demon, a monster, or was it the horrifyingly real terror of Nurse Block?
Belle Gibson.
Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown of the most terrifying villains in TV history. Stay safe out there, because you never know who's watching. And if you think this was chilling, just wait, because Evil has more horrors lurking beneath the surface ones we haven't even begun to explore. Stay tuned, because next, we're diving even deeper into the twisted psychological nightmares that make this show one of the most terrifying on television. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. But before we go, here's a question to keep you up at night. What if there's a Nurse Block in a hospital near you right now? Sweet dreams.
She just wants me to help her out a bit professionally.
Of course she does. She's competitive with me.